Hey guys, what's up? Zyflin here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my first impressions on Caliban. This frame's alright. That's my, just initial first thoughts. He's alright. He's not insane. He's not, terrible or anything like that. He's better than Ureli, if we're going to use that as a benchmark. You can use him to kill big groups of enemies quite quickly, implying you're using all of his abilities, right? So his first ability is a little twirly whirly ability, right? Where you turn into a Beyblade and you deal slash damage to enemies around you. I've subsumed that off because I don't think the damage is that great. It's nothing to write home about. So I went ahead and I threw on Ensnare. The reason that I threw on Ensnare is because it pairs very well with the second and the fourth ability, right? So the second ability, if I demonstrate it to you guys, it just sort of crowd controls the enemies, right? But then they are more susceptible to damage, right? So that's based on the amount of power strength you've got equipped. So the more power strength you have equipped, the more damage these enemies are going to take whenever you crowd control them with your second ability, which is quite nice. You compare that with the fourth ability, and implying you have 200% power strength, what's going to happen is the enemy's armor is going to be stripped away if they're caught by the blast, right? The third ability, you can spawn in Sentience, and these Sentience, what I've been using them for is to build overshields, right? And that is more or less it. I don't care for their damage or anything like that. Because those enemies are armor stripped, they are dying quite fast to the Sentience, but I wouldn't be relying on them for damage, like scaling super high into endgame or anything like that there, right? But having the armor strip built into the frame from the get-go is quite nice. Of course, you have got that condition of needing to have 200% power strength to strip away that armor, and you can achieve that in a few different ways. You can use conditional mods such as growing power, for example, which is what I'm running on this build, just to bump up the number of the damage vulnerability on the second ability. So this build is get as much power strength on there as possible, throw in natural talent to speed up the casting animation, and I've also thrown Flow on here to have more energy, because what I was finding was I wanted to do my combo of casting my 1, my 2, and my 3, but because of the low efficiency that I'm running on this build, the 75%, I wasn't able to get all of the casts out, right? So I had to rely on the likes of Energizing Dash or a constant flow of energy orbs coming into myself to, reliably use my kit, right? And that prompted me to make an alternative build where I take a few of the ranks off of Blind Rage, on Streamline, Fleeting, and Flow, and in that way I can use my abilities more consistently. So I'm taking away some power strength by not using Growing Power in this build as well, because I've hit that 200% strength cap, and I'm using Brief Respite on there, which is probably a waste of a slot now that I think about it, because your Sentients are, of course, giving you shield, but I haven't used them in the likes of an endurance run yet, so I'm not too sure how reliable the Sentients are at regenerating your shield whenever you're playing against higher level enemies, because the power strength percentage you have on your frame also affects the rank of the Sentients too. So with this build, they are level 64. And on this build, they are level 73, and I think they go up into the 80s whenever I've got my conditional growing power active, right? So it's really up to you. As long as you're hitting that 200% power strength number, I think your build is on the right track. You can opt to go for range, which is probably what I would go for, or invest a little bit more into if I were to go for a build which maybe sacrifice power strength, right, and then use growing power to sort of compensate, right? So you could use sub 200 power strength and then throw on growing power to get yourself over that 200%, and then you have the armor strip on there, and then you can invest more into range. You could definitely do that, but I just like going for builds from the get-go whenever I'm doing my first impression videos that sort of cover all the stats, right? So Rolling Guard is on both of the builds for the simple fact that this is going to be used to keep yourself alive. Stretch is more or less the only range mod that I'm using on both of these builds. Of course, like I said, I'm running Flow on both of them because I wanted to have that energy so I can get my entire kit off. Streamline is on both builds because of the efficiency. The natural talent gets swapped out for the fleeting expertise on the config B. Umbral Intensify is on there for the power strength as well as Blind Rage, and on the config A, growing power. Prime Sure Fitted is on here, so then I don't knock myself over with my Kuvazar, which is what I'd recommend using on this frame, some type of explosive weapon, and you'll see why whenever I do the full combo. Just for the simple fact I don't want to knock myself over, right? Your Arcanes, Arcane Energize, in my opinion, very important to run on here because you're using the frame's entire kit. an Arcane Strike. Maybe you would change this out for acceleration. Depends on your playstyle. Totally down to you. Prime Continuity for the duration of the crowd control, and presumably also the armor strip. I haven't actually, like, you know, let the duration and the fusion strike run out to see if the enemy armor comes back, but you know, you should be killing the enemies anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You could maybe take a few notches off the duration if you really wanted to, but Prime Continuity, at least in my opinion, is kind of a no-brainer for one, so no big deal to me, right? So let's jump in and try out the build, right? I'm just going to go ahead and throw Growing Pyre on here, because why not, right? Like, the Sentient is going to regen my shield anyway, so just for this demonstration, let's just go ahead and use Growing Pyre. So for Growing Pyre, what you do, you'd run the likes of an Epitaph or a Cuban Eucor, and then you just use that to make the Growing Pyre proc itself, right? So let's just go ahead and kill these guys. Spawn in these heavy gunners, like so. Confirm, simulate. So what I would do is I would use my 1. That's my ensnare. I'll use my 2. Use my 4. All the enemies are armor stripped, and then just shoot the floor, and all the enemies are dead. Right? So pretty good frame at killing large groups of enemies, right? Because you're gripping them up with the ensnare. Oh, they're already all armor stripped. Crazy. And then yep, you use the 2. You get armor strip with the 4, and then just fire at the ground. And they're all dead, and you're able to deal like a ton of damage, you know. So it is it's a pretty strong frame. Why are they all spawning in armor stripped? Is it because like there's a lingering effect? Is that it? Yeah, that must be the lingering effect of the 4. That's why they're armor stripped. Maybe that's it. So yeah, I actually didn't notice that before. That's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. So yeah, that's the blast right there. I'm assuming, yeah, there's the lingering effect. So maybe if I change my energy color, you're able to see that a little bit better. Maybe they added that recently after the hotfix or something. So let's just go with a green color. I know it looks ugly, but yeah, there. So you have this lingering effect, which allows the enemies that are inside it to have their armor stripped, which is kind of nice. Boom. And there you go. Oh, that's kind of cool. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. He's an alright frame. He's nothing too crazy. Nothing bad. Just alright. He's an okay tier. I wouldn't say that he's like better than, let's say, for example, Ashe, right? Because Ashe's armor strip, even though it's not like a wide area, or sorry, maybe a better comparison would be Zaku, right? He's definitely not as good as Zaku, because Zaku's armor strip, you just pick one enemy, and as long as you have the right amount of power strength, then and then stack on range, of course, the area around that enemy, all the enemies that are within the range are going to be stripped. And I guess that's kind of what they're going for. They're kind of sort of trying to mimic Zaku's armor strip with the sort of like effect that lingers, right? So he's all right. Kind of like a worse Zaku is probably where I'd put him. Like, he doesn't have the ability to kill as quickly as Zaku, because you know, Zaku of course has his ghosty guns, is what I like to call them. He's being snare like so. There you go. Boom boom. Hit the floor. Oh, they're all gone. And look how much shield we have as well. 1,331. So quite nice. He's an alright frame. Nothing too crazy, nothing bad. That's just kind of it. Of course, I'll have like a more sort of like advanced or detailed build video coming out for him next year, because that's what I plan on doing next year, like the month of January. I'm just gonna like re-upload all of my builds for all of my frames, right? Because I've redone a lot of them, and a lot of them are more optimized for the likes of steel path runs and whatnot. But yeah, I'm actually pretty, I don't want to say impressed, because he's not crazy, you know. He's not a crazy frame by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not disappointed. I'm definitely not disappointed. You pick up all of the parts for this guy from bounties in the Plains of Eidolon at nighttime, I think. So there's that. More videos to follow. Of course, I'll have the new weapons, because we got a few new weapons with the new war quest as well, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hit the like button, hit the sub button. I'll see you guys in the next one.